Most of us are just winging it, right? We're kind of keeping our fingers crossed, hoping everything works out, waiting for the next raise. I'm talking people who are making solid six figures. I've seen people making $2, $3, $4, $500,000, winging it, feeling like they don't have enough.
Who the f*** am I to tell you what to do with your money?
My name is Priya, currently managing millions of hardworking dollars. Enough foreplay. Let's talk
Money.
Welcome to the F word. Smart money.
No bull.
Hey guys, Priya here. Welcome back to the F word. If you've ever thought financial planning was just about retirement accounts and maxing your 401k and cutting back on your lifestyle, today's episode will change your mind. At Stash Wealth, we work with ambitious high earners who want more than just enough. They want financial clarity and they want a life that feels exciting, generous, adventurous, maybe even a little bit extra. So today I'm pulling back the curtain on all the amazing goals our high-achieving 30-somethings are planning for. And spoiler alert, it's not just about the down payment for your first home. It's for upgraded plane tickets, the perfect trench raincoat. You know the one I'm talking about. Trips to Antarctica. All right, let's dive in. So historically, financial planning has been just about retirement. It's been about helping old rich people not outlive their money, make sure they have enough to retire, and then make sure that they don't draw down upon it and take too much income, that their money runs out before they're no longer around, right? So if you think financial planning is just about retirement, totally makes sense. The industry and even financial planning software out there, most of the tools you can find online are really about securing retirement. But it can do so much more. And that's what I want to talk about today. Because most of our clients want to live well now while also knowing that they're prepared for later. Upgrading their lifestyle, living with confidence, spending their money guilt-free. So let's take a look at some of the common short-term and midterm goals our clients are planning for. I'm going to start with the two most common goals we see in every single stash plan. The first is travel, non-negotiable for our generation. The thing about planning for travel is that it takes the conversation from, oh, I'd love to take a trip. I wonder how much I can get away with doing it for, like budget mode, like affordability mode. And when you've planned for travel in advance, which is what I'm talking about here, the conversation shifts to, wow, I have thousands of dollars that I can now go blow on travel. I know that for myself personally, before I had a travel fund, I was hopping on Airbnb and I was taking the little slider and bringing it down. I can only spend this much per night. With the travel fund and having that goal set in advance, now I'm taking the slider and I'm sliding it in the opposite direction because I can upgrade the experience because that money, I have to blow it on travel. I just have to. The second goal that is pretty much in every single stash plan, also a short-term goal, is gifts account. Okay, so the travel account and the gifts account. These are the two that are in every single plan. With gifts, think holiday gifts, birthday gifts for yourself or for others, baby shower, wedding, all the things that are happening in this life stage. If you want to be able to treat yourself and others, it's so exciting to have this money just sitting aside with that intention, with that purpose. It makes it so much more fun to buy gifts. Whereas when clients come to us before they have a gifts account, pretty much it goes like this. Holidays roll around, they throw everything on their credit card, and then in January, they're like, who's paying for this? With a gift sub-savings account, not only does it allow you to spend on gifting guilt-free, but it also allows you to be more spontaneous because you're coming from a place of abundance. You're coming from a place of, I have this money to spend. So you can do more spontaneous things. You can indulge a little bit. It's a much more powerful position to operate from. So those are the short-term goals that we see in pretty much every single plan. But there are others. Lifestyle upgrades. So we had a client who came to us and she was living her New York City best life. She was living in a 3-bedroom with 5 roommates. I think they had converted the living room. And she was like, I love my roommate situation. I'm living my best life, but I'm making 6 figures. I totally want to upgrade this situation and move out on my own. That was an awesome goal that she put into her plan and accomplished. But we see other things. I remember this one client put in a ceramic studio. She wanted a fund that she could just go to the ceramic studio and basically, what do? Throw clay? Throw dough? What is it? Clay, yes. Okay, she wanted to be able to just go to the studio and not think about it and be able to just enjoy that experience. We've had people put in private boxing trainers. The Dutch hot tub. If you haven't heard of it, Google it. How cool. And then there are other more midterm goals that we've seen. So this is like later in life, maybe you're going to slow down on work, maybe you're going to work more part-time. We had someone do a Burning Man fund because why not? We've seen things like opening a bookstore, a winery, a brewery, a bakery. That was so fun. A bakery and cafe in Italy. And if you're watching, you remember, I loved that one. But this is the point of financial planning. It's an opportunity to actually think about your goals and put a plan in place so that you can achieve them. So one of the things to call out is that wealth is personal, not predictable. You don't have to just plan for the traditional goals. And sure, you can. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're a high achiever, you get to think beyond traditional. Planning is about intention. It's about taking a second to think about what your values and your priorities are and put a plan in place that goes wherever you want it to go, right? Because I think financial planning has this connotation of boring, traditional, stuffy, something I'll do when I'm older and already have my money. But I don't want you to think of financial planning that way. I want you to think about it as designing your life, right? That is exactly what we're doing when you're in your 30s and 40s. Yes, when you're in your 50s and 60s, there's not much designing of the life that's happening. It's really like, will I run out of money? But when you're younger, there's so much opportunity in your earning potential and the fact that you have time on your side. We had this one client who was like, you know what? I would love to gift my parents a cruise. Another one was this amazing woman. She put a glow up fund post-breakup. Hello, I want that. So clever, so creative. Oh, a bark mitzvah for his dog. And then get this one, the Venice Simplon Orient. Also look it up. It's a train in Europe, a bougie train. Half the time, we're putting goals in our financial plan that we see clients come up with because they're so freaking clever. Your goals are representative of your ambition, not irresponsibility. If you're at a point where you want to get organized financially, it is going to open up so much intentionality in terms of the relationship between you and your money. Because most of us are just winging it, right? We're kind of keeping our fingers crossed, hoping everything works out, waiting for the next raise. I'm talking people who are making solid six figures. I've seen people making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, winging it, feeling like they don't have enough, and every time putting a plan in place completely debunks that mindset. I remember one couple, the husband wanted to go through the financial planning experience. The wife was kind of like, why the hell would I want to do that? All they're going to do is tell us like what we can't do, what we should stop spending on. And I don't want that. I don't want my lifestyle to feel restricted. She came out of the experience with a totally shifted mindset. It had gone from feeling restrictive to, wow, I feel so much more in control of my money, and I cannot believe the doors that is open for us because we're putting purpose behind every dollar. We actually know where we want our money to go, and it's going there, and it's actually opened up to show us what room we have left over to dream even bigger. So that's the point, right? There's structure, because having fun and creating like these amazing financial goals doesn't mean you're being reckless. I've coined a term that we use at Stash Wealth called responsibly reckless. And it's the idea that once you put a plan in place, you absolutely can be reckless with spending on your goals because you know exactly how much you have to blow guilt-free. Responsibly reckless. The responsible part comes first, which is to put a plan in place, in case you missed that. Every single one of these goals that I've talked about has basically been planned for with three things: clear timelines, strategic savings, and prioritizing trade-offs. So let's take a second to talk about prioritizing trade-offs because that's it, right? Like life is about trade-offs, but don't you want to have a say in the trade-offs you're making? Because inevitably you will. Cannot accomplish everything all at once, all the time. Funds are not unlimited, but you can certainly say, I will choose this thing over this thing. And I think a lot of our unconscious money habits come into play when we don't have a plan, we don't know the trade-offs, we don't know what we're giving up by not putting a plan in place. I see this with couples a lot. Like, okay, classic example, which is basically everyone, saver married to a spender. And this one couple I'm thinking of, the husband had this deep desire to buy a home. And he was the saver, not to be cliche, but it drove him up the wall when her boxes showed up. And to her, it was no big deal. They were making solid money. She could totally afford to buy whatever the hell she wanted. The trade-off wasn't clear. And also, he hadn't articulated how important this priority was to him. As soon as he articulated, like, hey, it drives me bonkers because for me, every dollar you spend is a dollar taking away from our down payment. It was like, aha, light bulb, like, oh, I thought you were just nitpicking my spending habit. And quite frankly, I'm gonna spend on whatever I want. But now that I know this is a priority for you, that you want a home, I have to decide, like, okay, is that also a priority for me? But it's a conversation starter for couples to discuss, like, what do we want to accomplish? What are the things we're willing to let go of? And every dollar we spend elsewhere, what goal are we taking away from? If it's important enough, it's so much easier to shift your habit once you become aware of that priority. So being aware of your own priorities or your partner's priorities is absolutely game-changing when it comes to understanding your values and being more intentional about the trade-offs you're willing to make. One of my favorite quotes is, planning eliminates the need to keep your fingers crossed. Otherwise, you're just winging it. We'll get to a down payment one day. We'll be able to send the kids to college, I think. We can afford this vacation, maybe. Without a plan, you're really just keeping your fingers crossed. So stop that. Don't do that. One of my friends, when she moved to New York, she was like hell-bent on getting a Montclair coat, but she was like, how is this gonna happen? And as soon as she put a plan in place and automated it and knew what her trade-offs were, like, okay, I'm gonna be able to save up for this coat, and instead I won't be able to start my Equinox membership for like a couple months. Cool. She now has the coat and the Equinox membership instead of just waiting forever and then maybe splurging on the coat and feeling guilty about it. Yeah, you make too much money for that. Enjoy your money, guilt-free. The best way to do that, if you don't already know, is with a plan. Another thing I absolutely love about financial planning is that it gives you the permission to dream bigger, to want more. And I don't mean want more in a greedy sense. First of all, stop that. That's your mindset issue, limiting beliefs. We'll deal with that another day. I see a lot of high earners feeling guilty about wanting more than just enough, whatever enough is, right? It's subjective. Everybody has a different number, which is how you know that it's irrational to feel bad for wanting more. Everyone's definition is different. And frankly, the best thing about getting a plan when you're in your 30s, God, this sounds like a sales pitch, but the best thing about putting a plan together is we get to say permission granted, right? Like, I'm pretty shameless about the fact that I say we don't like working with people in their 40s because we don't like delivering bad news. I'm partially teasing, but like, you don't want to wait because the longer you wait, the more we have to say no because you don't have things like time and earning potential on your side. But when you're younger and you get your financial shit together and you put a plan in place, it's basically like a genie granting your wish. We're just telling you how to do it in the most efficient way, mathematically speaking. That's what a plan does. It gives you permission to dream bigger, to want more. It actually shows you what's possible without you having to guess. Because right now you're just guessing, I can promise you that. So whether it's NFL tickets, Beyonce tickets, a bark mitzvah, you don't have to justify your goals to anyone. But you do need to know what your goals are. And typically your goals are going to reflect your values, which is why it's such an important conversation to have when you're in a serious relationship. Because understanding your values through the lens of your goals, your financial goals, is one of the best ways to know if you're aligned with your partner for the short and the long haul. We've seen people go through the financial planning process and not come out of it together. But wouldn't you want to know those things sooner rather than later? I'm not like proud of it, but it is true. And definitely don't let your parents' concepts of what you should be on track for derail you from prioritizing the things that you want to accomplish. Remember, I said it's your life, you design it. You're the only person it has to be accountable to. I really hope this episode made you rethink what financial planning can look like. If you have a friend or family member who's maybe struggling and needs a nudge to get on top of their financial priorities, please send them this episode. We are trying to grow our audience and we can't do it without your support. So please like, follow, subscribe wherever you podcast. And if you're ready to make your goals real, you know where to find us. Thank you so much for listening to The F Word. See you next time. Thanks for listening to The F Word with Priya Milani. If you like what you heard, hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us a review while you're at it. We're approval junkies. Don't forget, you can find a ton of great resources, content, courses, and other freebies at stashwealth.com. Now, for the capital S stuff our lawyers want us to say. Stash Wealth is a registered investment advisor. Content presented is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to make an offer or solicitation for any specific securities, product, service, or strategy. Consult with a qualified investment advisor, that's us, before implementing any strategy. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. There, we said it.
Did I have that up?